Hey, welcome. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing good. Today, I'm talking about something that I've kind of gone back and forth about whether I should share or not, but recently it just bombarded my mind, and I said, okay, we're gonna do this. So, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing about a relationship that I was in. Honestly, it was a roller coaster ride. As much as there was some really, really good parts and things that I learned, there were also things that happened that I should have never tolerated, that nobody should be tolerating, and things that I did as well that I was like, that's embarrassing. Why was I even doing that? We're in a time where so much is being said about relationships, what should happen, what shouldn't happen. And so I want to offer a godly perspective of healing from a relationship that went really sour, and also to bring encouragement if you are in a relationship that you know you're not meant to be in. Maybe this video will help you make the move to say, actually, I gotta go, there's actually better. Anyway, let's get into it. So around the age of maybe 16, 17, I got into a very brief relationship. It was so silly. Honestly, it was so silly. It was with a previous guy best friend I had who I did develop feelings for, and I don't even know what I was thinking. I told him, he said to me that, oh, I'm his very special friend. I think I've mentioned this in a video before, but this was in the context of becoming cold-hearted, and this links in as well. About 2 months later, we then are in a gathering, a birthday with one of our friends, and then I think I gave him something, and then he's looking at me all funny, and I was like, is everything all right? Anyway, afterwards, he then asked me to be his girlfriend. Do you know what? Now thinking about it, that whole situation was very wild and just weird, just very weird. We were together for a very brief period of time, and it was kind of fun, but then I was kind of bored. However, I didn't make the move to break up with him because I thought, oh, it's kind of a little bit fun as well. Anyway, he ended up breaking up with me, and if in all honesty, I was more upset at the fact that I didn't break up with him first. Oh, just so immature. I was immature, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I was immature for a couple of years when it came to relationships and just handling that. Just so naive, so just clueless. Anyway, I was more upset at the fact that he broke up with me, and I was kind of sad that it ended as well. But honestly, I wished I broke up with him first at that point in time. So I made the silly decision in my heart off of that brief experience. This is how you know I was just so immature. And yes, I'm going in my relationship with the Lord, but in all honesty, I don't remember actually bringing this to God or even discussing this part of my life like that with the Lord. So I made this silly decision in my heart that I wasn't going to allow guys to play me, that, I'm going to be cold-hearted, I'm going to just do whatever. I didn't really, but I'm just trying to be this big girl in my mind. That led to me actually being cold-hearted and even essentially shutting myself off from fully receiving, I believe, the love God wanted to show me. And it also meant that I was placed in a position to not have the right guards over my heart. I wasn't really monitoring the feelings coming up in my heart. I didn't have the right guards to say, okay, if a guy does approach you, how do you know whether it's a suitable match? If a guy does approach you, how do you make sure you're not making decisions just solely based on emotions rather than the standard God has for you to live? So I wasn't doing that. I was just like, no, I'm in control. I'm going to do what I want. No guy's going to play me. I'm going to be the player. I'm going to be the cold-hearted one. What kind of mindset? It was really disastrous. But again, the state of my heart, the state of my mind, the rebellion and sin that had entered my heart just it led me astray. And if I'm thinking about it, it really did affect my relationship with the Lord as well. I was on track to, really pursuing the Lord, really being more intentional with my walk. And that was happening, but there was a lot of resistance because of the way I was handling this relationship I eventually entered. So I am now at uni, making new friends, meeting new people, and there was a guy at fellowship who I start talking to. We're genuinely talking as friends. However, again, I've mentioned that the state of my mind meant I didn't have the right boundaries in place. So when the conversation went into things that they were never meant to go into, I didn't have the right guards to say, oh, I need to run. Oh, I need to stop convo with this person. And because of my mindset, inside of me, I didn't recognize that what he was saying was enticing me, was speaking to the rebellion inside of my heart. As I am now, as I am now. Thank God for the maturity. Thank God for how he has changed my mindset. Thank God for how he has just grown me and is growing me. I just feel as though I've started. The experiences of the last couple of years have really opened my mind to how I need to be so intentional of understanding who God has created me to be as a kingdom woman, and because I desire to be in a relationship, the kind of man I need to be looking out for. Omo, if a guy friend of mine comes and starts telling me he's in a relationship and he comes and starts telling me about different women, I'm gonna be side-eyeing him. I'm gonna say, is everything alright? I'm gonna say, are you okay? I'm going to say, if you don't change from your ways, don't talk to me. I don't want to. You know that meme where that Nigerian meme? I don't know who it is. It's Akia Popo. I don't know which of them it is. But he's like, please, 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 don't bring your gossip to me. But at that point in time, I wasn't thinking. I was not thinking. So I'm friends with this person who's in a relationship, but is telling me different things that he doesn't need to be telling me, that he should not even be doing himself. He's telling me, and because of the state of my heart, it's enticing me. I'm like, oh, okay, wow. So from there, the dynamic of our friendship kind of changes. My boundaries are not in place whatsoever. There's flirting, there's joking, there's a dynamic that should have never happened. It should not have developed into. I have to take responsibility for myself. I should have said, I don't want to do this. This is not for me. At a point in time, I did recognize that the situation that I'm in here, this is not good. What am I actually doing? How did I actually get here? And the guilt started to set in, but I didn't really make any change, to be honest. I recognized that I don't want to be here. I recognize that I don't want to do this. This ain't me. Like, this ain't right. But I didn't practically put anything in place. And so things started developing more. And it's not as though we even said outright that there's something here, but through our actions and through the small flirting that goes unchecked, there's like, okay, we shouldn't be doing this, but whatever. So there were 2 occasions this happened where my physical boundaries were broken without me even knowing. I remember the first time it happened, I was just so naive. I hadn't really been in a serious relationship or seriously interacted with a guy in that way, so I didn't clock that when you're flirting with certain guys, it's a cue for them to move physically. Me, I did not clock. I did not know that. For some people, this is their go ahead. I don't clock what he's done until sometime after, and I'm just confused. But I'm a bit like, la 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 la. Like, I wonder what that was. I wonder what he just did there. And again, I don't have my boundaries in check. I don't say, actually, maybe we should stop talking. I don't say that, actually. I don't really say that let's stop doing this. I think we did have a few conversations here and there where it's like, yeah, we need to be more careful, but there wasn't any real practical steps to put those boundaries in place to say, nah, I'm not going to do this, I'm not entertaining this. So we're continuing trying to be friends. Flirting is happening. Another occasion happens where he crosses my physical boundary, and I remember in that moment I was literally like, I don't want to do this, but we've been flirting. How do I say I don't want to do this? We've gotten here already. It was just I was so conflicted. Like, it's actually so wild thinking about it. Anyway, in the moment, I think I just kind of make a decision that, you know what, we're here now, whatever, let me just continue. That happens, and apologies guys, the timelines in my mind are a little bit higgy because this was a while back. So all of this stuff is happening, and I decide to finally open up to 2 of my friends, and we go to a pastor and his wife, and I open up to them, and they are counselling me, they are giving me very solid advice, and I try to take on the advice. and I try and implement what they're telling me. I try and go with the advice. And in hindsight, I could have done a lot better with the things that they told me. I think I would have avoided a lot of heartache. Anyway, we go through a period where we stop talking. I try and avoid him just to detach myself and just remove myself from the situation, because the guilt, just everything that was going on, the confusion, it was too much. And in that time, I find out that he is no longer in his relationship. And after a while, we actually start talking again. And we decide to be friends. But again, I have not really made up in my mind that this is not somebody that I should deal with in this way. I don't have my boundaries in place. I'm not making any real commitment to honor the Lord of what I'm doing. If I'm honest, if I'm really honest, I didn't really put anything practically in place to make sure I was making the right decisions and living in the right way. And so many people warned me. So many people warned me about entertaining that dynamic before we actually got into a relationship, entertaining him, interacting with him in that way. One of my friends sat me down, looked me eyeball to eyeball. I said, "That is not your husband. That's not your husband." And we weren't even in a relationship at that point in time. It's not as though I really knew whether we were going to be together or not. But at the same time, I didn't make any firm decision to say, do you know what, based on what I've seen, based on how things have gone, this shouldn't be somebody I should go into a relationship with. I did not make that decision, despite all the things people were telling me. And this is one thing, yeah, if people upon people are telling you, don't do it, don't do it. I was that girl who was like, no, I know him, I know what he's like. I didn't say it, but my lack of running away showed that I was that girl that said, no, I understand him in ways that other people just don't understand. No, I did not. I was confused. Yeah, just that mindset that I had gone into that dynamic with was not helping me. Me thinking I was in control of my emotions. Throughout all of this, so guys, I also did not admit that I had feelings for him. Imagine. I think it was after he'd gotten out of that relationship he was in that I now finally admitted that, oh yeah, actually, I have feelings. So imagine, yeah, me not admitting to myself, not really admitting to myself, not really admitting to people around me, not really admitting to God that there's something there. How can I even put in the right guards? How can I put in the right things in place to make sure that I don't put myself in a compromising situation? I can't, because I'm not even admitting to the feelings. I think I'm in control, but my actions are proving otherwise. Just very confusing. Anyway, we start talking. We say we want to be friends. We're not moving like friends. We eventually do get into a relationship. And we were in a relationship for 3.5 years, just over 3.5 years. It was long. It was long. There were good parts, but it was too rocky. But look at the way we started. Why wouldn't it be rocky? Why wouldn't it be higgy haggy? Why wouldn't it be palaver upon palavers, upon kerfuffles, upon kerfuffles, upon disagreements, upon more. That thing was tough, man. It was tough. Don't get me wrong. I gained, because of that relationship, I gained beautiful friendships. Like, there are people that I'm friends with now that I wouldn't have been friends with without that relationship. There's things that I've learned. There's things that I've gained. There are ways that he even helped me that I'm actually very grateful for. I realised whilst I was editing this that I jumped and skipped. Like I said, there were so many good things about the relationship. Not gonna lie, there were some sweet parts, but it's not to gloss over how I did not adequately weigh up what I was entering. And I'm about to explain one of the reasons why I potentially entertained the relationship longer than I needed to. And it's interesting because although within the relationship, actually there were certain times when he was very protective over me, protective over our physical boundaries. There was also this part where very early on I did not address what happened, before we got into a relationship. So I'm about to explain how that could have been a cause of me staying in a relationship. And I think if really assessing unhealthy relationships and unhealthy dynamics, getting to the root of why did I stay, is important to put up those guards, being able to say no, being able to say, actually, this might have occurred, but it's not a reason for me to continue or to try and force myself to maintain an image just to make it work, just to make it fit the narrative in my mind of, oh, this is how things are supposed to turn out, this is how things are supposed to be. God is so good in redeeming moments, and I will explain that for everyone in the video. God is so good in allowing us to just learn from our mistakes and keep it moving. So yeah. So yeah, and I haven't really dealt with like my physical boundaries being broken. I sweep that underneath the carpet. And even sometimes when I look at why did I stay in that relationship, I recognize that with that happening, because I was keeping myself till marriage, because I didn't want to do anything until marriage, the way I even processed me entertaining that relationship was that, oh, this and this has happened and I only wanted to do this with my husband, maybe this is my husband. Again, like really faulty thinking, really unhealthy approach to dealing with some of the emotions that I was feeling. And so with those situations, I swept it under the carpet and I said, in marriage, I'll talk about it. I did eventually let him know how those situations made me feel. I think there was one point I tried to tell him in the relationship, but then post the relationship, I did somewhat let him know that actually that situation, it wasn't great. So yeah, that was one of the things that kind of spurred me to being in that relationship. Again, I think because of what had happened and because of what people had said, I wanted to prove to people that no, this is gonna work. No, I'm right. I know what I've seen. I know what I'm feeling. If you're not at peace, if people are telling you what they've seen, what they've heard, what they know about that person's character, what they've seen in you, just don't do it. Yeah, we're in this relationship where we're trying to make it work, but it's tough. And there's a lot that comes into it, given the history. My trust was broken in that relationship. He cheats. The way I even find out is just mad as well. And so at that moment in time where I should have left the relationship, I'm creating this idea in my head of how I see him to be, the potential that I see in him. It's not potential that I saw, it was my own imagination that I was projecting onto him. So at the point where I believe the relationship actually should have ended, I still stayed. And from that point where he cheats till the end of the relationship was literally, I remember as a younger, the two things that I said I wouldn't tolerate, I tolerated. Somebody who is in a relationship chatting to other women. Somebody who cheats. I was like, it can't be me. It cannot be me. But those things go hand in hand. Once you accept one, you're accepting the other. You're actually accepting the other. I did not know that once I accepted one, yeah, and I was entertaining such, I was accepting the other. So I stayed in that relationship. And yeah, over time, I started to realize that faith-wise, we also weren't aligned. As much as all of this is going on, God is teaching me how to love. God is teaching me how to open my heart again. God is teaching me. It's like two things happening. I'm going there and one thing is coming like this. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like this that's happening. And it's causing so much friction inside of me, so much conflict inside of me, because I know where I'm trying to move with God, but I know where this relationship is also taking me. Yeah, faith-wise, I realised we weren't in the same place. Relationally as well, the way we viewed relationships and how relationships should be done, it wasn't the same. And that especially caused a lot of friction. For a long period of time, I knew that this thing is not working. But in all honesty, because of everything that had happened and because I wanted it to work so badly, I wasn't bold enough to break it off. We had a few disagreements, and the last disagreement that we had, I remember after that disagreement I felt so bad, and I was talking with God and I was just thinking, what's gonna happen? And in my heart I knew that breakup is coming, even though I did not have the boldness to have it. In my heart as well, if I'm honest, I wanted him to break up with me. I didn't want to break up, but I wanted him to break up with me because it's so silly. In my head, I'd reasoned that if I break up with him, I could potentially find reasons to go back. But if he breaks up with me, then I know that I probably will not want to go back. And I will be honest with the people around me as to what has happened. At that time, I had shut away from my friends a lot of the things that was going on in the relationship. So that day, when I was talking with the Lord, and I was like, what's going to happen? And I felt breakup was coming. We broke up. He broke up with me. And I was really sad about it, of course. Like, really devastated. I knew it was coming. But I guess I didn't want to face the pain of it. I think it was the pain of that breakup, especially when you've invested so much, especially when you've committed yourself. After people have told you, we're not too sure, it's like, oh, like, why does it have to be this way? Yeah, I think it was just really, really sad to see the way it went. However, it wasn't surprising because I knew. I was just in denial. And I'd created this false imagination, projected it as potential when the reality was pointing me to what it really was.